unpacking the fallout from the USC Trojans' second straight loss and Clemson's third in their first 7 games. Are Lincoln Riley and Dabo Swinney on the hot seat? Let's talk about it. Let's go! Welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. And if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame college football. The coach will be along here shortly, but right now I am bringing on a couple of special guests from Nino's Corner, Nick Battle, Nino from Nino's Corner, and then from the Fourth and Goal Clemson show, our buddy C. Walt. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
What's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, man, thanks a lot for coming on the show to talk to us a little bit. Welcome to the show, everybody. Mr. Wilkerson, Sooner Cowboys, Steve B., Mars Jams, and Billy Shields. What's up, guys? Glad that everybody's in here tonight. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Going to get into a little bit about Oklahoma and Texas kind of surviving the newbies from the Big 12 this past weekend. Also going to jump into, hey, Texas may have just got themselves into a good situation with a bad situation. That's why we got old Nino in here to talk about it. And then, obviously, we just said we're going to talk a little bit about Clemson, Dabo Swinney, what's been going on over there. This is unfamiliar territory for the Tigers, and we wanted to bring on a Clemson expert. C-Walt's going to help us out with that. We'll also get into Washington remains unbeaten, but it wasn't easy. And then we'll get into this Jim Harbaugh and what you guys think about all that stuff. We may even just start off with that because we're still kind of waiting on everybody to get in here on some of this other stuff. But, well, actually, let's jump into real quick because I know, you don't have a ton of time. So let's talk a little bit about, obviously, Oklahoma and Texas. They I think you probably should have expected a little bit of a letdown after a big game like that in the Red River, having 2 weeks off. I know that you guys probably wanted to see them a little pissed off, like Sark was saying, but, and they came out firing, but, letting them back in the game and stuff like that. What was your overall feelings about the way that Texas played?
Man, Houston? When you got a team down 21-0, man, you got to put your foot in their throat and just keep killing them, dude. And they didn't do it, and so that's been probably my biggest complaint on this team is, look, they have enough talent on this team to where they can, like I was saying here, they can be like the 2019 LSU folks. I'm not saying that talent-wise is person for person, but, look, you should be able to put up as many points as you want on every opponent that you play, especially when you're playing, Kansas, I think, put up 40 points against Kansas. But, look, Wyoming, you should put 40-plus on Wyoming easy. Rice, 40 points easy. I mean, it shouldn't be holding anything back. You go full, like all gas, no brakes, right? That's the motto. It needs to be all gas, no brakes, regardless. And so, 21-0, and then you let them come back. I think Texas ended up winning. What was it, 31-24?
Right.
Yeah, man, they got to do better than that. They got to do better.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the same could be said for Oklahoma. They came in and part of it, I feel like it's a lot on the same deal, it almost seemed like Jeff Levy got a little too cute, like he seems to do a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of going into your bag and taking receivers and sticking them in the backfield to try something brand new on the first couple of series. Go pound the football. This is UCF may lead the nation or be close to leading the nation in rushing, but they are also about the worst against defending the rush. Just pound the freaking football, and at the end of the game, that's kind of what you saw. So, you had some, and then you had a couple of gaffes, but, with that gimmicky offense, you're going to have to expect some of that. The main thing, I think, that when it comes down to it, think no matter what, if you're a championship level football team, you're going to have to go through some adversity, whether it's from a team that shouldn't be close to you or not. Getting through that a year ago, we talked about that a lot, that 5 one-score losses a year ago, they lose that football game. 2-3 years ago, they lose the football game. Anytime they seem to struggle, as you're seeing Lincoln Riley do still at USC, anytime somebody goes toe-to-toe with them, they seem to gag it out, And that was Oklahoma's MO, man. That was their MO for a while. They might have been dominating the Big 12, but the Big 12 was trash. And so, it just was what it was.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, man, we got a comment here. It's from, Thunder OU Sooners. Nino Y. Is an Arch Manning playing on Saturday if he's so good? I mean, this got to be one of the stupidest comments I've seen, man.
He's a freshman.
hey, what's his name again? Thunder. Hey, tell me this.
Thunder OU Sooner. That's our boy. But yeah,
So did Bryce Young start? His
a little bit of trolling here, man. You're gonna have to expect it.
It's just crazy, man. Look, man, these dudes are true freshmen for a reason. Right? It's like, you got Quinn who's a 5-star. You have Malik, who was a 5-star prior to him not having football for a year, so they downgraded him to a 4-star plus,
which was weird, right?
Which is weird. And then you have Arch. So you're telling me you're going to skip a guy who was just in high school 4 months ago, and a guy that's been trained and being, nurtured in the program for 2 years now. You're going to say, look, I don't trust my evaluation and my development of a guy like Murphy, and just go ahead and put this rookie in who was playing 2A ball last year. No, that's not how it works, man.
Here's what I would tell you that what he's really saying is that he don't want to see Malik Murphy either. So I'm just going to be honest with you. I told you earlier, I don't want to see the transformer, and this is a concern to me. That was my question for you is, obviously Quinn getting hurt in the game was big, but you had a video, and you had one a couple of weeks ago or towards the start of the season, right?
Yeah.
Where you said that Malik was going to be the most important player on the roster for Texas. And I think at first everybody kind of gave you a little trouble about it.
They told me I was smoking crack and everything. You know what I'm saying? Seriously. And I had Texas fans telling me that. Like, I'm like, oh man, look at this guy, he's smoking crack and everything. Look, anybody who watched the video, people just saw the headline and just went with it and didn't watch the video. But I still stand by that. Quinn has not been healthy since his junior year of high school, right? He had a hernia, his senior year of high school. His junior year of high school. He didn't play his senior year. His first year at Ohio State, he didn't play. He got COVID. He didn't practice for a ton. Last year, he gets hurt against Alabama. He misses 4 games or so. Look, quarterbacks get hurt, man. I mean, it is. And it's just you're one hit away from having to play your second string guy. And so just looking at the law of averages with Quinn over the past 3 or 4 years, an injury is going to happen. Okay. It was going to happen. So now it's going to be, how does your backup perform? Even the great Bryce Young got injured last year. And guess what? Jalen Murrow had to come in and win 2 games for him. Right. So could you imagine that Alabama team if Miller would have lost both those games he played in, and Bama's 8-4, last year? It's a whole different conversation, right? Malik Murphy right now, and people are still giving me hell for this. If he has to play 2 or 3 games, he has to keep this thing rolling. Texas is what now, 6-1 right now. Texas has aspirations to playing in the Big 12 championship. We want OU to win out so we can play you guys again. Right. I think it'd be probably the best matchup. And also just selfishly, I want OU and Texas to play in that game because I want to stick it to the Big 12. But, if Texas is going to get to the Big 12 game, they have to have Malik Murphy win games. And look, he is the most important person on this roster right now for these next 2 or 3 games. Because if he doesn't win, people are going to blame him and say, oh, yeah, well, Quinn didn't play. I don't want to hear that. We got enough talent. I think he's going to do
you're right.
Yep.
Well, and I would say, Seawall, you can go back to the year that, that last year that you had, when DJU had to replace Trevor Lawrence, kind of the same thing. He had to come in, keep it alive, get him to the playoff, right? To play those couple of games. It's got to be an important part of it. I agree that backup is a very, very important position to any championship level football team, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, without DJ coming in and playing the way he played, we're not in the playoff period.
Right.
You know, and
went on the road to Notre Dame and won, and that was big.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. It was like, I think 435 yards passing. I mean, he had a big day. You know,
Right.
the Clemson fan base was ecstatic. You know, we were already thrilled to have DJ coming in, and then he comes in and plays like that. We couldn't wait to see what was coming with DJ.
Right. Yeah, and obviously, I mean, things changed the way that, with everything, a lot of guys have graduated or went on to the NFL anyway and stuff like that. And things seem to kind of – we're going to get into a little bit more on the Clemson side of it here in just a few minutes. But obviously, to me, I feel like it's kind of the same thing with Oklahoma, though. Last year, whenever Dylan went out, they didn't have anybody to step in and do anything. I mean, we don't have to talk about the score of that freaking Red River game, but we know what it was. And so nobody was happy about it, and that wasn't a situation that was good for anyone. Now that now we would be playing a freshman this year obviously in Jackson Arnold if anything were to happen. But Jackson's had some time to get some reps here and there and stuff, as well. I still don't think it's a perfect situation, but it's better than it was a year ago.
Yes, yeah, it's better than Bevel, right?
Oh my God. Oh man, yeah. And so that was it was a bad situation, but and that's, I feel like you're right. I think that in this situation with the league, kind of what it is. I mean, I know a lot of them, you've got people talking about Iowa State and that they've kind of rebounded with, and they kind of have with Becht, and then you've got Okie Light somehow flipping it around.
Yeah, West Virginia.
Yeah, but West Virginia's kind of stumbling again. It seems like that old Brown might be on the hot seat again. But that being said, you've got a situation where, aside from K-State, really, and I don't really like them much. I like their new little quarterback, but honestly, they need to step on their necks and finish this off. I think that there's no excuse for these two teams to not be in the Big 12 championship their last year in it. And so it's a big deal I know I can speak for a lot of these guys in here. I do not want to see this kid going in, and I feel like the longer he plays, the less I feel like he may not come back off the field.
That's
if he gets it going.
That's gonna be crazy, man, because like I went to maybe 2 games last year, and when you see him on the field, it's just different. The dude's 6'6", he's 240, 250. It's like not an ounce of fat on him. He has an arm like a cannon. He can throw the hell out of the ball, especially the deep ball, man. That's what Texas is missing. And that's like, I mean, he's accurate as hell. So talking to Steven last week about this, Steven said that his comp for him is like a Byron Leftwich. People want to comp him to VY. He's not VY, folks. He doesn't. VY is one of one, folks. He is the dual threat quarterbacks, right? That's not Malik. If anybody watches his film, Malik is a pocket passer. He is what you call somebody who's going to dime you up. Yes, does he have functional, he can run. He's like a Josh Allen when he's running. Not even Josh Allen is. I'm telling you, he's like Byron Leftwich. I said Jameis Winston with more size. Like he can dime you up.
You're not talking Vince Young stuff here. You're talking
hell no. Man, Vince could have played wide receiver, if you wanted to. That's not Malik Murphy. He's 6'6", 250, right? And he doesn't have Cam Newton speed. He's not that guy. He is like a no-kidding pocket passer. If anybody knows how the kind of quarterbacks that Steve Sarkisian likes to get, they got to have quick triggers, big arms. Those are the guys that he likes. And people love to forget that Malik Murphy was the quarterback that Sark wanted. Like that was his first quarterback. That was the first guy he recruited here to Texas to play quarterback. Quinn wants to transfer. Different story. You have a guy in the transfer portal, you go get him if you can. But the first guy he recruited to come to Texas at quarterback was Malik Murphy. Right. And he got him to commit. All the quarterback talent that was in this, in Texas last year in the Southeast, he went to California and got the guy he wanted. He had been recruiting him since he was at Alabama. All right. So he wanted him. So that's his guy.
I think Unk's in here taking up for where K. Chris in here, so he's busting your balls a little bit.
Hey, go watch Byron Leftwich in college. Go do it. And that's a first round guy.
He was a stud, bro.
Go watch Byron Leftwich in college and then come back and laugh at me. All right. You don't become a first round pick at Marshall by being a scrub. You know what I'm saying? Like, go watch him. And he was good in the league too. It wasn't like Byron Leftwich was a dude, man. You know, so yeah, I want you to go and watch Byron Leftwich in college at Marshall, and then I want you to come back and tell me he was a scrub. Okay.
Do you feel like there's an opportunity that he may not come back out of this game? He may not come back out, or do you feel like Sark is going to go right back to him?
Man, look,
if
I don't know, man. You just got to see how everything's going to play out. If Malik comes out and puts like 500 yards a game, you know, it's a different story. But I don't know if the offense is going to be open up enough for him to kind of put up like mad numbers. But you know, the usual rule is guy doesn't lose his job to injury, right? You know, you got Quinn there. The team was 6-1 with him. I don't know, man. I don't think he loses his job due to an injury. And especially this is a pretty important year for him too, man. This is his time to go to the league this year. All right. So yeah, I don't think he loses his job unless this dude is like, dude, 55-0, 60-0, 60-20. You know what I'm saying? If that starts to happen, man, I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that I think Seawald's got some insight on that part of it too, because when you start looking at, I mean, look, nobody was expecting for big man to come in and win that job right off the bat either there at Clemson, and for him to come in. What did you see out of Trevor Lawrence when he came in that year and just kind of took it away from everybody like that?
Well, you know, Trevor, just the arm talent and the accuracy, it just separated itself on the field. You could tell. You know, Kelly Bryant was an extremely good athletic running quarterback, but he didn't have the arm Trevor Lawrence had. And it told the story when he came in Texas A&M.
Yeah. Yeah, he was definitely the man. He was definitely the man there. And you know, Kelly was playing good too. You know, that was the whole thing about it. It wasn't even like he was playing bad himself. You know, but yeah, there's some of those
levels to this, man.
That guy,
look,
his levels to this.
Dabo did the Dabo thing. He let the senior guy get first dibs. So he's very loyal to his guys, whether anybody believes that or not. He is very loyal. And I mean, Trevor had to win the job, but you know, you could tell coming out of spring and out of the summer that eventually Trevor was going to take that job. And Dabo, you know, made that call before week 4 so Kelly could make a decision whether he was going to stay or go.
Yeah, that was the right thing to do too. Real quick, guys, before we have to let Nino get out of here, I do want to get you guys' opinion on a couple of things. First and foremost, what do you think is going on at USC?
Oh,
what do you think is about to happen at USC? I mean, we know what's going on out there, but what do you think is about to happen?
Yeah, man, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
See what you got?
Well, man, they need some defense there. That's for sure.
That ain't gonna happen.
I get it. You know, when I think USC, as a Clemson guy, you know, we battled them hard for Corey Foreman at defensive end, and I'm looking like, where is this guy? I haven't heard of him since he's been there. You know, He was supposed to be the second coming of Clowney. You know, so I don't know, man. USC, that's a difficult one. Caleb Williams, you know, what's he going to do? That's the question. I don't think anybody has a real answer to right now.
Yeah,
is this right that he's out? Tebow may be out here. Hold on just a second.
No. So he's sick right now. So they're saying he's out a couple days, right? You know, so that's the news coming out now that he hasn't been in practice in a couple days. You know, and that Cliff's running the team right now. You know what gets me about this? I was talking to Ty and also Jay about this earlier. I was like, deep down in my heart, I have a feeling that Lincoln is
on his way out.
Yeah, he is packaging himself right now with Caleb Williams, and they are shopping for teams right now, and they're telling teams, "I'm not going here, I'm not going here, I'm not going here." If you get the first pick, that's just me. That's just me saying that.
I think that they've already kind of signaled that, right? They've already kind of signaled this, right? I mean, Caleb's dad came out a couple of weeks ago talking about that he could stay another year. This was, of course, before they fell completely apart.
Yeah.
You know, that he could stay another year if he didn't like the team that he wanted to go to. You know, I think that would definitely screw that up. But my thing is look, we're seeing Caleb Williams regress right now. He's not doing anything well. I mean, he's great at what he does do, but he's gotten into such bad habits, guys. He doesn't have anything easy to throw. There's nothing that he's getting to that third step and the ball's coming out. He's literally running for his life and waiting for it to open up downfield and then just chucking it. This is not.
But is that his fault?
Work. Is it his fault? No, I didn't say it was his fault.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if he's regressing. All right. So he had one bad game against.
You get into bad habit? No, he hasn't. You go back the last few games, he's not been good.
Okay.
He wasn't good against Arizona. He wasn't not good against Arizona. He was awful against Notre Dame.
As I said, yeah, you know, so I give you that.
But I think it's not that he's not talented. I'm not saying that he's a bad player. That's not what I'm saying. I think he's the best player in college football. Yeah. But I also think that feel like that he's getting into some habits because of this hero ball that they're playing. And I don't think it's good for him moving forward. He doesn't read defenses. We were talking about DJU. DJU's been, you know, out there at Oregon State playing a pro style now, and he's learned to read defenses in ways that, I mean, I don't know if you guys saw him on that QB room thing with Jordan Palmer and those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, they were freaking out at how well he was reading and could dissect the defense right now just looking at it, you know? And that's the kind of stuff that they said right then, you're going to be so far ahead of most of the guys that are in this class. You know, it just, to me, and I know that, look, Caleb has a lot of talent, but you're not going to be able to get away with some of the stuff that you get away with in college. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to go in there and play the way that, you know, you're not going to get away with that stuff. You're not going to get away from the rush the way he does in the NFL. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Tell me do you really think that this is the end of it? They're probably
man.
Look, sit out, or do you think he's gonna?
I think it's the end. It seems so Lincoln Riley-ish. I'm just being honest. It seems so Riley-ish. If like that's a word, he'll do his 2 years there. Oh. He brought USC a Heisman Trophy winner, and he's gonna go to the league. There's gonna be so many jobs opened up right now for like the NFL. I could honestly see him doing it. If Cliff Kingsbury can go get a job, and he had a losing record in college, then yeah, Lincoln Riley can get a job easy.
That's fair. Hey, listen, Cliff Kingsbury just fails up. We already know that. That dude just fails up. I don't get it, but he does. And yeah, I'm not saying, I just said that he's the best player in college football. I agree with you. And you know, yeah, they probably don't go 6 and 7 a year ago, but that wasn't one of those things. That wasn't really a thing that it wasn't like that was on a quarterback. They wouldn't have gone. I mean, USC probably would have done the same thing had it not been for Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
But the other part was that they didn't have to play Oregon and they didn't have to play Washington last year. And so it looked a little better than it was.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think Caleb's worth alone 6 or 7 games by himself, which is crazy. Right.
Yeah.
Because he has to do so much, so, talking to my guys in the Texas chat, we were talking about like different tiers of quarterbacks. Right. And, I love what Sarkis doing with Quinn. I love what he's doing with, Murphy and Arch and everything. But when you go back and look at some of these games, when you start to put yourself in a tier, it's how many times can I screw up my quarterback, save my ass? Right. I mean, we've seen it. You've seen Baker do it. You've seen Kyler do it. We've seen VY do it. We've seen Colt do it, and
yeah,
I mean, like multiple times in the season. Like, we've seen them do it like this guy carries their team on their back. We're seeing Jaden Daniels do it down at LSU. He's doing it every game. You're starting to see guys mature into a role where, look, everything ain't perfect. Just give it to me. I'm gonna make it happen. Caleb has to do that every week. And that's the sad part, right? Is that he has to do it every week. If he's not Superman, they don't even have a shot, which is crazy.
Well, here's the thing. They don't have a shot because of the way they're calling it. And here's what I've been seeing is that for everything that everybody talks about Lincoln Riley and what he does offensively and how he can scheme you open and do this and do that. Look, one of the other things that he was always really good at was running the football.
Yeah.
And they're not doing it. And they have probably one of the top 2 or 3, according to Pro Football Focus, they have the number 2 overall running back in the country. And he gets the ball 10, 11 times a game.
Yeah, but their offensive line sucks, though. That's he's not building the trenches. He's doing what Tom Herman did.
When you're up 41-14 at CU and he doesn't touch the ball in the whole fourth quarter, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
That's ridiculous. You're not running the football enough to do that when you got that guy. And sometimes the offensive line, and I think they're worse at pass blocking than they are at run blocking, because he's had some great runs. He had a great run, to tie the game up, starting off, on Saturday. After Utah broke that first one, he broke one for like 50 yards. It was, hell of a run. He hardly touches the ball again after that. So a lot of this has to do with the fact that I don't know if he's just trying to win him a Heisman again or what, or why they're playing this thing. But this does not even look like Lincoln Riley offense anymore to me. Aside from, we've seen him do it before. We saw him when he checked out at OU this last year there.
Yeah, man, he's gone. He's gone.
I think he is.
He's gone.
From the outside looking in, obviously I'm an Oklahoma guy. He's a Texas guy. What are you seeing from over there, Seawalt?
I don't watch as much Pac-12, but Lincoln Riley's a weird character, man. Just watching from afar over here in the East Coast. He's like you said, he's a 2 and out kind of guy, man. What's his goal? Nobody really knows what his motivation and goal is and where he wants to be at this point. And
for 110 mil, I don't know why you would want to go anywhere.
Yeah. Part of me thinks
he's getting exposed.
Yeah. Yeah. True. Yeah. I don't even know what to say right now with Lincoln Riley. He's an oddball for me.
It's weird because, and I think that, coming into this year, nobody really saw that. If you weren't, and I don't know how much of it, obviously you do so much work with OU creators, and that you probably saw it from a different angle than what a lot of people do. I think a lot of people have just assumed that all that national narrative, the Colin Cowherd stuff, all the, that he's great and he's the guy that had the vision to move forward and blah, 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 blah. And I think that in Oklahoma, let's just be real. OU fans loved him too. They loved him when he was there. And, and it was getting to be a point where everybody was kind of wondering, okay, are you going to finally get this done or not? Here we are, this is your 5th year and it's time to do it, especially coming off of that win in the Sugar Bowl, beating Florida like that. You need to go and get it done now next year. And they just continue. You could tell from almost the first or second week, he just looked checked out. Yeah, and I do think that his ego is the biggest thing, but you literally think that you can win on one side of the football, and it's totally Mike Leach. And listen, I love Mike Leach, but the dude, this is the way that he did things too. And this is why you have never seen an air raid team win the national championship, because there's more than one side of the football. There's 3 phases to the game. And on top of that, as I've tried to tell everybody, as we've been saying, starting off the year, when you had Wiley as your strength and conditioning coach instead of Schmitty, and they call him the yoga instructor there at Oklahoma. They get smaller every year, right? They get smaller every year, and you got to get big and you got to get strong in the trenches, and that's something that clearly Brent Venables has done that since he got here. He had a game plan, knew what he had to do. He got drugged he had to pay for the sins of Lincoln Riley in his first season. A lot of people were on him. But I think it's pretty clear now that everybody's seeing, oh, well, wait a minute. They're not that good at this. I think it's just kind of, it's just kind of come to, become obvious to everybody that it's not just the defense, though. Yes, it's shitty defense, no doubt about it. But it's bad conditioning. It's bad play calling on the offensive side, too. There's just a failure to play complementary football in any way, I think.
You know what, though, man? I think this is I think Lincoln got the Jimbo stuff going on now. He got paid, and now he's like, I'm good. I'm good. Like, look, what you going to do to me? You going to fire me for calls? I don't have no calls. What you going to do, fire me? I'm fully guaranteed. You know what I mean? Like, I think
right.
I think he has gotten very content, which is sad.
Very comfortable.
He's gotten very comfortable, which is sad because as a coach, well,
when you haven't even won a national championship.
No, but like honestly, not just as a coach, as a human being, you just want to get better every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, especially at the high profile job he has and having a guy like Caleb Williams, who's going to be the first pick of the draft or a top 2 or 3 pick in the draft, right? And knowing that your team's going to suck if he's not there, like you would try to make every moment you have with this kid as good as possible, right? Like build the best team, go get the best defensive coordinator, which is another thing. What does Grinch have on him? Like, does he have pictures or something? Though I'm just trying to figure this out.
I think he loves it. I think he loves having him around because he's his bullet catcher. He's been his bullet catcher, man. Just think about it. It's easy to just say, "Oh no, what?" And like when he said that shit after the CU game, what's he say? Well, to the trained eye, to the coach's eye, this is what I see. And it's like, bro, shut up. The trained eye. What do you know about defense?
Yeah, I just don't understand why he won't get rid of Grinch. But yeah, I think you're right. He's the shield.
He's catching all them strays, bro. He's catching all them strays. It's but and even right now, if you watch any of these guys, it shows that that's all they talk about is just that defense. I get it that the defense sucks. I mean, they made Utah look like a great offense the other day. They hadn't scored that many points all year.
Walk-on quarterback.
Right, a third stringer. Yeah, he looked like Joe Montana. What are you talking about?
But they got players over there, man. They got Bear Alexander. I mean, they got players on that side of the ball, which is crazy, right? They just can't coach them. They can't develop them and coach them.
I know, and yeah, and I mean that's the whole. It's bad, and even right now, Bear hasn't been around there long enough to get little. You know what I mean? But he doesn't have any discipline yet.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so it's a bad deal. It's a bad deal. I think that, but yeah, I could see all of this coming apart in the next. It could come apart any minute. It really could. It could come apart any minute, and it wouldn't surprise me. None of it, because when they said that he wasn't at his radio show yesterday, under the weather, that's the exact same freaking excuse he gave when he missed his media availability after losing to Baylor.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
The exact excuse. Under the weather.
Yeah.
And then he comes back a few days later, he says, "Oh, I'm the coach at Oklahoma." Yeah, until you're not. What the hell does that mean? I knew his ass was gone right then, man. Yeah. I thought it was LSU at that point, but come to find out,
he couldn't make it down there. He couldn't make it.
No. Well, and I'm
from Louisiana. He couldn't make it.
To do with the SEC. He didn't want shit to do with the SEC. He knows that he wasn't going to be able to deal with that.
Man, which is crazy because his offense, to be honest with you, would really go good against SEC defenses because SEC defense got so much talent. They're cool with going man up. They just go. He has the time. I mean, they cool with it. What's up, Chris?
What's up, dog? What you got a resting bitch face going on?
Look, I'm over here trying to watch my Lakers play. Okay, it's opening night. I get a call, a distress call, a 911 signal saying, "Hey, man, Nick is on here calling Murphy Byron Leftwich." So I had to come on here and make sure.
I said, "Come
on, I can listen to Nick say it."
I said, "That's a good comp for him."
I want to hear him say it out of his own mouth just to make sure this is real. Because I was like, "Not Nick."
I said,
Nick.
"Why not?" I said, "My comps for Murphy." Because people are saying, "Oh, he's Vince Young." No, he's not. It's not Vince Young. Just because he's black doesn't mean he's Vince Young, folks. Right? Stop it.
Okay, well, I can step back out of this conversation real quick.
Hey, man, somebody told me the other day that he's Cam Newton. I'm like, no, he's not. He's not that kind of. This dude is a dimer. He's a guy that's going to zip a ball on a dime. He has functional mobility, but he's not like a dual threat quarterback. His greatest asset is his arm. I got Texas fans telling me that he's Vince Young. I'm like, really, dude? Have you watched The Great VY before? Like, he's not Vince Young. From a passing standpoint, I look at him as a complete player. I said Byron Leftwich or a bigger Jameis Winston when it comes to passing the ball in college. Don't take the pros away. Talking about as a college football player. Those are my comps for him. He can pass.
That could be the ceiling. That could be the ceiling. That could be the ceiling. We all know what the floor is. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. Huh?
Okay, Chris, you're gonna tell me you're not worried about this kid playing? You're not worried about this kid being the quarterback?
Huh?
Instead of check down Quinn? You're not worried about
no, man. Look, I think he. Hey, look, I want all Texas fans to know this. I think the guy has tremendous potential. I mean, we've seen it. Nick and I have talked about this behind the scenes about Murphy for the longest. Nick, we've talked about Murphy for quite a while.
Yeah,
but I say the floor is Tyrone Swoops. Just I got to throw a little subtle jab in there. Just you know what I'm saying.
That's fighting words right there, Nino.
Hey man, hey. Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. He ain't no damn Tyrone Swoops. Yeah, we actually got a quarterback coach. Now we had Sean Watson coaching offense and quarterbacks at that. That was not a good thing. Okay,
now, in all honesty, all fairness, though, do you think that Sark will call some QB runs for him? Some QB powers, different things like that.
You wanna know why? After seeing Quinn get knocked up twice, getting drilled.
Arch in there?
No, they gonna be like, ain't nobody running the ball no more.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying like
that's
going
not a
five
good thing
wide
for
and
you,
just
bro.
running some blast. But what I'm asking is like on 4th and 1, different things like that. Do you think we see that?
What, like a sneak? Like I could see
not necessarily a sneak, but just kind of like direct snap, basically kind of being like a quarterback blast or like basically Wildcat, basically. Let's just
Savion Red, number 17. That's his job. If we got a 4th and 1 and you want to go get some yardage, go put the Wildcat package in, go get your Savion Red, have him stand right next to Jonathan Brooks, and you do some damage that way. But I don't think he's going to chance it with him for this game or for this season. After seeing Quinn, I mean, honestly, man, Quinn went head first with a linebacker. I don't know why he's not sliding. You're an important asset to this team. You would think you want to slide a little bit. He's been going head first the whole season, and we have been. I have been saying it behind the scenes and on Twitter and social media. Like that's going to catch up with us real quick and real soon. It caught up with us against OU. He went head first and fumbled the ball, right? And you guys ended up getting the ball back. And he went head first this game. Now, I understand he didn't get injured on this play, but you can't be a 210-pound, 215-pound quarterback and sitting there taking a licking from a 255-pound linebacker who's just drilled you. That's not your job, man. That ain't your job.
Slide, bro. Learn to slide.
Yeah, just slide, man. Live for another day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so no, Chris, answer your question. Nah, I think Sark's like ain't no quarterbacks running no more in this game unless the whole play breaks down, and you better slide to get your ass out of bounds.
Jason, I'm not trying to take over your show, but I do have
some.
Go
right ahead, Chris. You go right ahead. Sir.
I've been listening to all this orange blood stuff today or whatnot, and I really want to hear from Nick and Steven. Like and Nick, I'm not even going after you, man. I'm just asking you real questions. Like what is really the game plan? I mean, that's the question all day the Orange Bloods are trying to answer. 30 of them. What's the game plan for Murphy versus BYU?
What do you mean? What's the game plan?
Shout out to Bucky's.
Are you still running the same? Are you still running the same offense? Or
why wouldn't we
things up?
Why wouldn't we? It Sark's. I mean, what has Quinn done in the offense that you don't think Murphy can do? I think Murphy's going to take more shots.
I do too.
Yeah, I think
naturally he will. Naturally he will.
I don't want this cat in the game, bro.
Hey, okay, so look here, man. Proud of me getting off this, man. Look, I was listening to some podcasts today, and there's a strong part of the fan base that, look, they want Arch Manning to come and play, right? And so you'll hear certain podcasters come on, and they're talking about how, Arch ain't no slump, and he went to a 2A school, didn't have a lot of talent around him, and he was able to persevere. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like,
nothing.
No, but this is my thing. I'm like, okay, he's able to persevere. He had no talent around. I get it. Okay, look. Malik Murphy didn't have a lot of talent around him. The only thing he went out and did was go win a state championship, and I think he was the only player in his team that got a P5 offer, if I'm not mistaken. The only thing he went to go do in California was go win a state championship. So I think he's persevered quite a bit himself. It's just you can see the narrative where some people want to set the narrative to go ahead and start Arch right now. And you're seeing some people like, man, let Malik, this is his time. He's waited his time. He could have transferred when they got Arch and they decided to start Quinn. Most guys would have transferred. And believe me, you don't think some people at UCLA or somewhere on that West Coast would have said, Malik, please come over here, or Florida after they lost Jalen Rashad. I mean, there's a lot of teams.
Yeah, they would try.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams post that spring game, they were shooting the shot.
But Nick, the question is, and this is I think this is a fair question, all right? Because I don't want frightening truth and all the rest of them trying to come after me for no reason, acting like I'm trying to go after Texas. But this is a real question. What? Is this or is this not his first and final, or his first and last audition for that starting job next year if Quinn does go to the league?
No. This will be his first. It won't be his last. Man, look, this is just my opinion. We got to see the game here on Saturday. Sark's going to put him in situations where he's going to look good. He's going to look good. You know what I'm saying? Sark's made Quinn look really good this year.
Yeah.
All right. You know, he has. Sark made Casey look damn good his first year. Now we see what Casey Thompson's doing right now. Okay.
What is he doing right now? I haven't seen his
ACL, bro. He tore his ACL. Let him live, man.
Yeah, well, we saw he did at Nebraska last year. I mean, you want to back it up one more year? Okay. Sark can make some guys look good. All right. So I'm not worried about that.
I think that this kid has more talent than any of those dudes you just brought up.
I think he has more upside. I do. I think he has more upside. And one last thing about Malik is, when he was warming up to go in the game, go back and watch the film. I want you to see the players in the sideline, how they were juicing him up. Like, they were like, hey, man, this your time, bro. They were happy for him, right? They were happy. He's one of those kids, when you hear, like some of the reports, he has an infectious attitude. You saw it in high school. People gravitated to him. He's a guy that when he's in the room, you're going to look over, you're going to be like, who the hell is that? Like, he's just a guy that's going to draw you to him. And when it comes to having a quarterback on the 40 acres, man, I don't think we've had that since, to be honest with you, Vince Young. He was the last guy that people gravitated towards. He was the glue, right? He was the glue. People loved him.
Yeah, we want Arch because we don't want to see him.
It's gonna be interesting, man. I'm excited for this weekend. I'm excited to see how he's gonna play in the game plan that Sark's gonna call, and also,
you think he's gonna cut him loose?
I don't know if he's going to cut him loose, but I think this is just me talking. I think Malik's going to cut himself loose in a couple plays because he's not dumb. Right?
Moxie's a good thing. Moxie's a good thing.
But he's not dumb either, right?
I don't like that.
He knows for a fact this kid sees who the folks that cheer for Texas want to see play. Right? They understand that they love Malik, but he knows who they want to see play, right? He also understands that he has to make it to where this is a real decision when Quinn gets healthy, right? Like, he has to make it to where this is a damn decision when Quinn gets healthy, which I don't think Quinn will lose his job to an injury. But I think if Malik comes out here, if he does what
I feel like the longer Quinn's out, the
harder it's going to be to put Quinn back in the game.
That's right. The more he loses his grip on that.
He has to get out with so much momentum here that when it comes to the summertime, it's a clear lead for him, because people are going to understand that I don't care what the practice reports say. I saw what he did in the damn game.
Here's a big thing too. To me, that there's a problem outside of what's going on with this whole, Quinn Ewers injury, putting Malik in there. I wouldn't even call it a problem. Sorry if you saying that. But what I'm saying, there's a bigger storyline that needs to be dealt with first. Will the real Adonai Mitchell please stand up? I think that's something that I know for me.
Well, I'm not even a Texas fan. No.
Go ahead.
Chris, I watched all 22 film today. I saw a couple clips. Ain't nothing wrong with Adonai Mitchell.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
I'm just saying. I ain't heard a lot from him.
Yeah, I'll show you. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's why I'm excited to see what Murphy's gonna do.
Feet, folks. Wipe your feet, folks. Wipe your feet. There's 64 people in here. We got 20 likes. Come on now. Come on,
y'all. It could be one of those. It could be one of those, like just like with Spencer and Caleb. Now, obviously, that's not the storyline here. Rattler didn't get injured, but I mean Quinn did. But it could be one of those things where it kind of galvanizes you, and you got a guy that comes in and people want to play with him. People want to play for him. They want to see him excel. So I mean, obviously that's the hope, but I'm just saying. But
it's gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna, yeah, man. I'll talk to you on the green screen, Chris. We'll talk tomorrow. We'll talk tomorrow for NC Connect show. Yeah, man. Hey, it's gonna be interesting, man. I'm ready to see what Sark gonna do with him. Right, I am.
Look, that's why I wanted you on, man. I'm interested in it too. I think that I think it could be a bad development for Oklahoma. I think it could be a bad development for the entire league. So I don't like it. But but I do think that, obviously he's going to have to prove it. He's got to get in there and show that he can handle the situation. But come on, man. I mean, it's not like, look, the more you watch BYU, you kind of wonder. I mean, yeah, they beat Texas Tech. Who hasn't? You know what I mean? Who hasn't this year?
BYU is so. I mean, you don't know what they're going to be able to do.
It's like TCU. You don't know what the hell's going on with them either.
Yeah.
The only thing about BYU is that they're just really tricky because they're old as hell.
Yeah.
You got 26-year-old men on that team, man.
They got a good coach, man, too. They got a good coach.
Yeah.
I like Kalani a lot.
The best thing about this game is that it's at DKR, right? I mean, it's a home game. It's not on the road.
Yeah.
You're not having to take him to any type of hostile environment or anything like that.
Yeah.
He can feel comfortable at home. Just go play.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Because BYU's not a bad team, man. I mean,
no, they're not a bad team.
What are they, 5-2 right now? And they lost to Kansas pretty close, right? It was a 10-point game or so. And they lost to TCU. They got stomped by TCU, which was weird. But yeah, man, it'd be interesting, man. It'd be interesting.
They can't run the football.
They can't at all.
They can't run the football. So you're putting the ball off a lot in Slovis' hand. But yeah.
Coop, what the hell's going on? I thought we had you in here tonight. You're in the damn. What's going on here? Coop, hit me with a link. Oh shit! I thought I already did. I put it in the It was in the.
If you don't mind, Jason, I do have another question. Okay,
please.
This is not for Nick. This is not for Nick. This is for the fine young gentleman right there with the Clemson hoodie.
What's going on, man?
So I'm trying to figure out what's going on with Dabo right now. Things you need to go and do a welfare check because if psychiatrists are on y'all team and they're on suicide watch, we need to talk. There's a lot of stuff that's going on right now. And I don't know what the hell, who's calling plays. I don't know if Garrett Riley is calling plays or if Tony Elliott is calling from Virginia and saying, hey, run. I want Klubnik to run the football and try to beat these 5-star edge rushers and try to turn that corner. I don't know what's going on. Can you please enlighten us?
Hey, I'm still trying to figure that out myself at this point. It's different. We're in a different position than I've been used to in quite a long time. A lot of people think Dabo's trying to call the plays instead of Garrett Riley. I don't believe that. Should we just go ahead and segue into Clemson completely?
Let's do it.
All right, man.
I've heard enough about Texas, damn it.
Wait, Jay. Hey, man, I got to go, man. I got to head out.
Nino, thank you for coming in, my man. Tell everybody how to find you before you leave.
Yeah, man. Look, go to YouTube. It's going to be Nino's Corner Sports. Every Wednesday night, me, Chris, Jay, Ty, and Steven have the SEC Connect on Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. And also Friday's Bleacher Report at different times. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 1 o'clock in the afternoon, just on their app. So, yeah, just go there. And also on Twitter, man. Just go to Nino's Corner. I'm there.
Okay, man. Well, hey, thanks again for coming in, giving us an update, and giving us your opinion on the Lincoln Riley deal. Yeah. But hey, man, we appreciate it.
All right, bro.
Yeah, man. All right. Later. Big Shawty. You coming in, Shawty? It's in the sunky place. Tell him to run over just to buckle up and put his mouthpiece in. Shawty be talking. Hey, come in here and tell us what's up. Come on now. All right. So yeah, get into it. Let's hear what you got to say.
All right, yeah. So the other day I said that I felt like that was a program-defining game against Miami, right? Clemson's in a place right now.
Big word too. That's a big word for Clemson, man.
Well, here's the thing, man. Dabo runs his program so much more differently than a lot of teams in this country, right? Dabo has gotten into this habit. So I'll go back to about 2017. We started bringing in younger position coaches, right? Dabo loves to promote within.
Sure.
7 of the 10 position coaches we have on this team right now were graduate assistants right around that time.
Coaches' sons and shit.
Well, three categories. Dabo's either brought position coaches in that were high school coaches that he had good relationships with in the South. Mm-hmm. They were either Alabama alum with him or had that Alabama connection, or they were Clemson alumni. That's where the position coaches have come from. Dabo has not reached outside of this program to get any different viewpoints, any different strategies, or anything like that to bring into the program. So let's fast forward to now. Out of the 10 position coaches we have on the field, they have an average experience of coaching, whether it's NFL or college, of 6.7 years, basically 7 years average experience for our position coaches. If you take Mike Reed away, that's 23 years. If you take him out of that equation, you're looking at 5 years of experience for our position coaches. That's not good. These guys are brand new, and they've only ever really been under Dabo's system.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's at a point now where he has to go step back, and he's got to make some hard decisions. I need to reevaluate this program. Over the last 13 games, which you can consider a full regular season, we're 7-6. We started 8-0 last year, and we're 7-6 from that point. You know, my view is he needs to sit back, take his heart out of it. You know, he says he builds this like a family environment, a developmental environment. Take your friendship and heart out of it, and look at your position groups. And he needs to start with the offensive line. You know, our O-line coach is one of those guys who has 4 years total coaching experience, 2 at Georgia State, 2 at Clemson. He's taken over for Robbie Caldwell. Yeah, he took over for Robbie Caldwell, you know, longtime offensive line coach, Tennessee, Peyton Manning, those years. And CJ Spiller, great college player, never coached until he got to Clemson. He was a graduate assistant, sat 1 year with Tony Elliott with the running backs and took that room over. So the point is, we don't have anybody outside of the program to come in here and kind of shake things up. And it's gotten stale, and we're not developing the players the way we should. Clemson's got an average of number 5 in the blue chip rating for recruits. We've recruited well. It's not a talent issue in Clemson. It's a development issue.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, and Chuck, you know what do you mean you wouldn't be where you are? Where's the respect? They're 7-6 in their last freaking 13 games. That's where they are.
Well,
and if it wasn't for the way he's doing things right now,
I think I'm gonna jump in here and just say this right here. I hear everything you're saying, and
let me welcome in Coop, man. I didn't even say anything. Hey, welcome to the show from Unfair Sports, Eric Cooper. Appreciate you coming in, man.
No problem. Hit it, Chris.
No, so what I was gonna say is simply this right here. We dealt with the whole Lincoln Riley situation tenfold, right? So I understand where you're coming from. It's a gift and a curse, because for everything that you just said, it's a testament to what he built there. It's a part of the culture. It's a part of the brand that you've built Clemson into during this Dabo Swinney era. Obviously, there's some things that need to change. If you let's kind of like really dissect this in a full view. If you want to, the comparison could be Lincoln Riley for right now, right? So for Lincoln Riley, Coop, Jason, we all know. It was a slow decline. It was a bad decline. Defense never improved while he was there. You know, I heard Ty put it so he made such a great point when he said, when you look at what Venables is doing, Venables is going after everybody. Riley, even though he has these amazing transfer portal guys and he has really, really great offensive guys, Riley is only taking 15 guys out of high school and then maybe 7 or so out of the portal, basically. And that really limits you, and that really hurts your squad. So, I mean, And then if you go to Clemson, it's kind of one of those things where I know y'all talk about the portal, talk about all the rest of these things. It's kind of the same thing. Like they have to make that decision for themselves, and it's not working. I think Klubnik has all the potential to be a superstar in college football. Will he get there? He has Riley, but he's going to need more talent around him. But you're sitting there saying there's no reason why you guys couldn't have went out there and got a Caleb, I mean not Caleb Coleman, but a Keon Coleman or a guy like that, especially with Riley coming off of a year like he just did with TCU. So there's a lot of questions that I have. Obviously we have Venables. I think there's something to be said there, but I think that the defensive coordinator that you guys have now obviously was under him. They running the same thing. A lot of same philosophy.
I don't think it's a defensive problem there, though. It's an offensive problem there, right?
Yeah, it's an offensive problem. And I think that stems from the fact that Tony Elliott and then the last offensive coordinator that you had is just like, okay, well, I'm going to get my friends and let them run it. And you look very pedestrian out there. Now, granted, I don't even want to talk about the sprint draw play because of this past weekend. But I told my uncle, I said, man, if I see Clemson run that damn sprint and draw play again, I'll never watch another Clemson game. I'm tired of it. Like it's done.
Chuck, here's the thing I'm going to tell you. Give him the benefit of what he's done in the past. He's not evolving into the future and into what is the present and the future of college football. Yeah, I understand dipping sparingly into the portal. I get that. They haven't had a really good receiving core in a while now. And at some point, are you going to keep on blaming quarterbacks, or are we just going to, are we going to do something about it?
Yeah. So
go ahead.
I want to jump in here and kind of touch on the portal and NIL with Clemson real quick. Here's Clemson's problem with NIL. They don't have the collective that a lot of these other schools have.
That's another thing he's not big on, right? He's not into it.
So that's a misconception with Dabo. Here's Dabo's stance on NIL. He doesn't think we should be handing out paychecks to players, right? To get them to come to school. Clemson has, and I'm not, let me just for the record say, I'm not saying that I'm on board with the way Clemson does this, because I'm not. Right. But the way they do this is they want kids to get to the school first and then jump them into their NIL program. You're putting yourself at a disadvantage right there from the start. If you think a 17-year-old kid is going to say, all right, let me come to school and then get this NIL, when they can go over to Georgia or even South Carolina for that matter, because they've got a collective with the NFL, they can go over there and not have to make these concessions and take a chance in rolling before they get it. So that's one issue. Dabo's got to work through that. Graham Neff, the athletic director, he's got to step his game up, because guess what? I assure you, the previous athletic director, Dan Radakovic, would have, because guess where he's at? He's at Miami doing that right now. Mm-hmm. And as far as the transfer portal is concerned, I understand Dabo's philosophy with the transfer portal. Dabo's saying, hey, look, we haven't lost any starters. We can't just dip in because we don't have the scholarships because we had so many guys come back, right? I understand that. But just because a guy's a starter at the end of the season doesn't mean there's not a guy in that portal that's going to be better than that guy you have as a starter,
Keon Coleman.
And then it takes us back into that NIL collective again. Clemson doesn't have the money or the collective amount to be able to get in there and battle for one of those top tier guys. They don't have the support. They don't have the support.
Wait, hold on. They've got as much money as anybody. Look at their facilities, look at everything else. I don't buy that one. Come on now.
Well, what I'm saying is they don't have the booster support you're going to get out of the state of Texas.
Not yet, because Dabo's been saying no to it, and I get that there's a line that you can't cross. And if the player is coming, I think that this is the way it still is at Oklahoma. If you're coming in talking about money, BV's going to boot you. He's not going to want you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I get that.
No. If I may just put
understanding though that they're going to get paid.
if I may just butt in, Coop back me up on this one. There's a certain school down south that we just played in Dallas that they would always tell us for the last 3 or 4 years, they've harped on it, that we were $1 billion in debt, that we were a poor university, that we had no money, and that once NIL was enacted in college football, then Texas A&M and that school down south would basically lock down the state of Texas, and then no Texas players would ever come and play at our institution. So with that being said, it's kind of one of those things where you kind of really don't know until something like major really happens, or they make that they really emphasize it. They put an emphasis on it, right? Coop, and I mean, you get what I'm saying, Coop, because to be honest with you, a lot of these collectives, a lot of the money that you see OU have now, it just kind of started coming out of the blue because people, once Riley left, that really pissed off a lot of people and got people fired up. That especially. But Venables gets here and makes it those are the things that you've heard that, hey, that was a conversation that they all had about him coming here, is that's got to be something. If we're moving to the NCC, we got to be able to compete that way as well.
And that's where he had to be pliable with that this is, yes, I agree that yes, BV was not. And I think that there's still, like I said, I think that there's a level, and Coop, I want you to go ahead and back me up on this or tell me I'm wrong, but they had to get serious about it, and they had to man him up and say, look, you want to go 6 and 7? 6 and 7 will change things for you right now. You know what I mean? It's just how it is. It's going to change things up for you right now. But I mean, you're going to have to play the game in order to compete at that level, period. SEC or not SEC, if you're going to be playing the SEC either way, you better be playing and competing in that room and in that arena if you're going to keep getting these guys. Now, obviously, they do a great job of recruiting at Clemson. Sammy Brown, those guys, I mean, they still got Wesco. He said, he reiterated that he's still in. I think that the money's probably there, right? Is it not?
There's enough money there, I guess, for certain, players, maybe 1 or 2 a cycle that you're really pushing for. But to be able to dip into the portal and bring a guy like Dominique Lovett in that Georgia brought in, Clemson wouldn't have been able to do that. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying they would have done that. I think they need to do that. But and here's a test for Dabo this season coming up, this offseason. I mentioned it the other day. You're losing Trotter. You're losing Carter. You've got 6 scholarship linebackers. 3 of those guys are freshmen. It's very hard to bring guys in that young, especially 2 of them, and put them starting from day one. Dabo's going to have to dip into the portal for experienced veteran linebackers who are ready, that are just ready for a change of scenery. He's probably not going to get the top guys out there. But even the guys who probably aren't going to be bringing as much money, he can go get if he really wants to. Mm-hmm. He's going to have to get linebackers and defensive end. Defensive end room for us is atrocious right now. That's another one of those position groups that I think needs evaluated at the end of the year. Yeah. We ever since 2018, we've just gotten worse and worse and worse at defensive end, and defensive ends used to want to come to Clemson and play. That's not really the case anymore right now. So when I talk about, a program defining game or situation, this is what I'm getting at. He just needs to, he's going to have to sit back and do some real soul searching on how he runs his program and make changes accordingly to fit in and change with the game at this point. And I think he sees that. He made a comment the other day, kind of like he did before he, fired Brandon Streeter. Somebody asked, are there going to be coaching changes in the interview? And he pretty much, when Dabo Swinney doesn't want to talk about it, or he's already talking about it behind closed doors, he just completely ignores the question and kind of pushes it off. And that's what he did. So I think I take that as a positive sign that, there's going to be some looking at this staff. So I think he knows what's going on. He's not dumb. He's won 2 championships. So, it's a make or break kind of decision for him at this point.
Yeah, and as far as like Texas A&M being the poster child for NIL, they're the poster child for what's wrong with NIL, the wrong way to do it. For imploding what you have going on in the locker room. That's the difference. Go ahead, Coop. Jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I would just have to say this is with Clemson. I mean, I've got nothing against Dabo, standing in what he wants to believe in. But when you see the entire country to, get there and you've got a linebacker, you've got a defensive end or anything like that, he's being, told, I mean, because people are negative recruiting, Venables Oklahoma stuff, from other schools. If somebody's looking at Clemson like, hey, look, you see what he's doing there. This is the regime has changed. And so you got to fight that. So if they're hearing some of that fighting and they're getting pulled across the country because, it makes them think. And so they, travel to, Oklahoma. Eventually, a lot of commonalities are going to happen across different programs. And when it comes to NIL, that may be the deal breaker. Now, I don't think that Venables, I don't think that Dabo are ever going to go across people who are just literally mercenaries. It's NIL 100%. That's factor one in there and everything that they're doing. They don't go after those. And I think, like Chris said, nobody wants to go after. If you come in and ask it, hey, first question about NIL, what you got there? Now, I'm pretty sure that every single one of our coaches has that in their pitch. Like, of course, we've addressed NIL. There's great opportunities because we obviously know that you guys deserve that. And that's where Dabo's going to have to get is, and somebody said it in the comments too, right when Brent got there, he had a few different thought processes that are completely changed now. And you saw it with the turnip seed situation. You saw it with the facilities being pushed off. And all of a sudden the NIL got super strong. They got very, very serious with the multiple different collectives and said, hey guys, same goal. Like, how do we merge this stuff and just get the job done? Because I don't really think it's a free enterprise. I think it's how do we help this university do what needs to be done? Because you can't walk into the SEC with any type of high and mighty principles, because otherwise you're going to end up hanging out with Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, and I think that it was clear that BV kind of had to get his mind around it a little bit, and he probably needed a little help from Stoops and Joe C. You know what I mean? To know that, hey, listen, this is how it's going to be, how it has to be. I think at some point I realized that Dabo's won national championships. I get that. And look, for everybody that's in there saying that it was because of BV, part of it was because of BV. Dabo's a hell of a coach, though. I mean, as much as I'm not the hugest fan of Dabo Swinney, but I know he's a hell of a coach, right? Let's not be crazy. But the deal is that you have to, at some point, you're not going to live on those two national championships forever when they haven't been in the playoff in the last couple of years. And if they've already lost 3 games now, that wouldn't probably get you into the field at 12 next year, So even that being said, so they're going the opposite direction of where they needed to be headed. Is he on the hot seat though? Because it seems like, you've got a lot of national people that are saying weird stuff. Is that real there, or is it only if he decides to leave?
Dabo's not on the hot seat. Neither him or Garrett Riley. That's sports media.
Is Cade on the hot seat?
I think he's in the doghouse right now. There's no way he's not starting, against North Carolina State this weekend. It was a really stupid decision he made. I think it's handled it, in the locker room. It's handled.
Right. Yeah. Oh, you mean pulling the ball out? Is that what you're talking about on that RPO?
No,
he kind of. I'm surprised me that he chucked him under the bus though, like that.
Hey man, sometimes you need it.
Hey,
I'm not here. I'm not a big fan of babying players, personally.
I'm with you on that.
Hey,
you made a mistake. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna butt in and just say, like, when it works, it looks damn good. When it doesn't, it doesn't. But the reason why I say that is because if let's stick with the Rileys, right? Iowa State during Caleb's year. Caleb had a play where he went for a 70-yard touchdown. That wasn't even a play that was called. He was supposed to hand it off to Kennedy Brooks. I mean, that Riley offense is and I would say this right here. Garrett Riley he's been good in spurts this year. That game that he called against Florida State was phenomenal. I mean, that just came down to, Keon Coleman just being a dude and going out there and snagging that ball out of there. But outside of that, I mean, there's been games where he's called and you're like, hey, y'all look really good. Syracuse was another game, and don't get me wrong, for some odd reason, Syracuse playing at Syracuse is always like an Achilles heel for you guys, and you guys went up there and handled that. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, man. I wish y'all the best and all the rest of that stuff, but I just know that it's different right now because,
well, we have no alpha receiver. That's a big problem. That's that's what's been the problem.
Yeah,
the receiving room has been the problem since Tyler Grisham took it over from Jeff Scott when he took the South Florida job. Now, I'm just making a little bit of a bold prediction here. I don't see Garrett Riley being at Clemson longer than 2 years. I think after next year he's gone on his own. I think he leaves on his own. And right now we've got Jeff,
damn career.
We've got Jeff Scott. A lot of people outside of Clemson may not realize how valuable Jeff Scott was to Clemson. Everybody kind of viewed him as the brains behind Clemson's offense when Tony Elliott got all the hype for being the coordinator. They were co-coordinators, and a lot of the decision making was Jeff Scott. And the receivers, all those stud receivers that were recruited by Jeff Scott. And when he left, all that left with him. So all that to say, he's back with the program and sort of an analyst, off the field role. So I see Riley. First of all, I see Tyler Grisham, maybe not having a job after this season. And I can see Jeff Scott taking the receivers back over. And then after next year, Riley leaving and Scott taking that offensive coordinator role. That's just my thoughts, my predictions.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's all interesting.
That's why we wanted you. That's why I wanted to know, because I'm not really understanding what's happening out there, and it just seems like it's kind of hit. And when you hear, he just doesn't. It's like you said, he doesn't really want to talk about it. And when he does talk about it, he bitches about it. Like it's just I've heard him say, "I'd rather just stop doing this."
Listen, Dabo will never give the media or anybody in sports. He will never give those guys the satisfaction of proving him wrong. That's right. He will do everything he can to not do that. And he's very guarded when it comes to the issues right now, which is development from his coaching staff. His position coaches are not developing players. And when he doesn't talk about it, it's really bothering him. And he can't talk about it because those are the hand-selected guys that he's brought from graduate assistants up for the most part. So it's all on him, It's obviously all on him to start with, but he's got a special bond with it.
Right. Okay.
This is kind of his coaching tree.
Yeah.
Right. No, and I mean, obviously that coaching tree is. Yeah, listen, I mean, it's a bunch of all the same guys or their sons or somebody that's been in the program or whatever, I mean, I get it. Yeah. Yeah, please keep Riley. Everybody's saying, please keep Riley. Are they considering any conference going to the – hey, yeah, what's up with that? What are you hearing about the – because they said something today earlier about them –
hiring some kind of person to look into it.
Yeah.
All that kind of died down. I know that Clemson and Florida State are both working together on this deal. Nobody's really giving up the goods on this. I personally think it's going to end up, if they move somewhere, I really believe it'll be the Big Ten. And I say that, because
really
last year they set up this big deal with Ohio State, Southern Cal, that whole deal to start playing one another in the future. So that's where I think.
It wouldn't surprise him because, I mean, why would you? Well, first off, I don't think South Carolina would be very happy about it, right? In fact, they would not be happy about it at all.
Well, they wouldn't want us. They don't want us to come to the SEC.
No, that's what I'm saying. They wouldn't want them in the SEC. So I think that I could see that happen. Everybody's been pointing them towards. I mean, everybody that you hear around all the realignment talk has talked about pointing them towards the SEC because that's their fit. Yeah, I almost feel like between Georgia and South Carolina, they might say no. And you know what? To be honest with you, if you're Dabo, why would you really want to do that when you can? You know you can go to the Big Ten and win. It's a little harder to get through that gauntlet out in the SEC, I think. And I almost think that that's the same reason that I don't believe that Coach Prime is just going to up and leave Colorado anytime real soon, when they're going to have access to the playoff right where he is.
Yeah, you know, I think Dabo relishes the fact that he can play the SEC in championship games. Like that's been one of his big things. He loves to play those guys, and when he beats them, that's a big feather in his cap. That's a big feather in anybody's cap when you beat the SEC for a championship. I don't think he wants to jump on board with them. I think he wants to always be against them. He's not going to be there forever. You know, that's got to be a decision made by the schools, you know, but still, you know, I think if he had his choice, he'd go play in the Big Ten so that he can try to play against the SEC every year for some form of a championship or a trophy.
Yeah, maybe. I still think that, I mean, they've been able to recruit on the same level. The money's right. For them to go to either league, I don't think that it, you know, because that's not really an extra 30 million, shawty. It's not. It's set up. It looks that way right now. I think it's very minimal when it all comes down to it, because they're actually kind of holding ESPN hostage on some of it too. So that's not really going to be how it shakes out, I don't think. Yeah. So guys, before anybody gets out of here, we still got to talk a little bit about I didn't get your thoughts on Murphy, but let's go into this Michigan cheating thing. What the hell is this? Is this much to do about nothing? Because that's kind of where I'm at on it. I think that Jim Harbaugh has done this to the NCAA more than enough, and now they're coming after him with everything they got. I think that everybody tries to steal each other's signs. I don't know how you prove this, and I don't think that. Do you see anything coming to this, Coop? I'm gonna start with you.
I do, because now you got. I mean, the witch hunt's out there. They're going to dig down, hunt, right? I believe it started as one, and I think that there's a lot of very, very, when you bring it to the light and you make it a story, like if you hear it in passing, like, oh, did you know that this analyst purchased tickets to 11 different Big Ten games, who were on Michigan's schedule? You hear stuff like that, and that's all this. I mean, instead of it's just like, oh, well, if you just said, oh yeah, this is our analyst and he actually goes and scouts the game, so he's not on the sideline during games. You hear that and you're like, okay, that's smart. That's sucks that he can't be with the team, but sure. But then if you say like they've been busted for stealing signs, now the NCAA is investigating, or the Better Business Bureau, whichever one has more actual power, but then all of a sudden it becomes this massive deal. And then what happens? It hits social media, and then everybody starts going crazy about it. And then the optics of it get 10 times worse. And people, I know that the NCAA, college football, ESPN, they need the younger crowd to develop into sport fans too. So social media is the best way to get these things out there. It's not good. It's not a good look, because now you're also seeing people like taking videos on their cell phone and watching game film and watching an analyst standing next to the offensive coach, backup quarterback doing signs, or this analyst that's been traveling around with the teams. You have the stuff that Franklin said. I don't know, I think I sent it to you, Jason, but like, he basically says something like, it's because he's doing. I had an old boss that used to tell me that if you have an issue with somebody, don't just come out and be like, you know what, FK Chris, here's the reason why. Every time that we start having a conversation, blah, 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 something like that. You got to say, I enjoy working with Chris. Sometimes it's a little hard for me to, kind of mesh with him. And maybe that's a me thing. And you try to make it sound like you're doing everything in your power not to trash him. And people go, no, we read between the lines. We see what's going on. But Franklin made the comment that he said, we try to be secretive. We try to be surprising. And when, let's see here, when you are surprising, that's some of the game plan that you put in. You pick these things. And so it's really odd on a 4th and 2, and we're in a power formation, and all of a sudden they back into cover 2. He's like, and when we have a deep shot called, there's, when you hear these clips and these things all start coming together, then you're like, oh my gosh, there's some stuff happening here. And a lot of people, like you said, Harbaugh is, in something deep with the NCAA. I think he rubs people wrong. I think that, he has this, he's kind of like Deion Sanders before Deion Sanders was Deion Sanders. He has his own way of doing stuff. He's not super conformist. And so I think there's something to it. I think that with social media, it's an absolute big thing that's going to blow up, and it's probably going to get overreacted to.
Yeah. Chris?
First observation is simply this right here. I think Jim Harbaugh is I think he's the Bill Self of college football. Let's just be honest. I mean, I think there's a witch hunt out there for him now. I mean, I didn't know how else to
well done.
He's done something to obviously piss somebody off. I just, I was sitting here on my phone, sitting here looking down. I was like, man, just, I'm sitting here thinking like this is like playing Hitman or playing Metal Gear Solid. It's just all this espionage and spying and all the rest of this stuff. It's just the fact that you really had a staffer. You left a paper trail. It's one of those things. It's one thing just to make it seem like it's a coincidence, but you got paper trails, playing routes, all types of stuff that you can actually bag up, with evidence, just by saying, hey, look, this is what happened. So right. The worst thing that could have happened for Harbaugh is getting that suspension already this year, which gives them, kind of opens up the floodgates, right? And then the fact that now the ones who want to handle this is an organization that is known for making knee-jerk reactions to a lot of different things, right? Because there's a lot of coaches, a lot of teams out here doing it. Let's not kid, it's not just Michigan. Everybody heard that question that they asked today at the press conference, which was kind of an asshole move in my book, but I digress. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure coach coming in now, coach would tell you that everybody saw a sign, everybody's had a sign, everybody knows it. Be honest with you, one sport that definitely steals signs is my favorite sport, honestly, basketball. We all steal signs. Like, we know what plays are coming. We know all the rest of that. Is way easier to figure that out because you're not standing that far apart, sideline to sideline. You're right over there, and you know what their calls are. So the thing about it is, just kind of is what it is. But he's done something to really, really tick off the NCAA. And to be honest with you, I would caution the NCAA. Why? Because don't tempt him with a good time. Don't tempt him with a good time. Harbaugh would just go to the NFL. It does not matter to him. It does not matter to him. So both of y'all could be screwed. You could lose a great coach who brings storyline and brings value to Michigan and has made, even though Michigan hasn't been to the promised land like they thought they would be. They've won 10-plus games, X amount of many years with him there. I know they've had their doubts in the past, but now beating Ohio State twice, making the college football playoffs, all the rest of those things, they feel like they're in prime position. They're handling business this year. But like I said, it's not like he hasn't been flirting with the NFL for the past 2 years.
Yeah. What do you think, C-Walt? Hey, real quick. Welcome to the show, the coach, Philip Roybal, my co-host. Thank you for coming in, Coach.
What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
This is our buddy Seawalt. He's a Clemson guy. He was in there on Coach I's show this weekend. We got to talk to him a little bit.
Awesome.
So we wanted to talk to him about what's going on. Kind of a lot of stuff going on in the world this week.
Have y'all talked about the Clemson stuff yet?
Yeah, we have a bit. We've been talking about it a little bit. Yeah, actually, we kind of moved into the Michigan stuff a little bit. Yeah, so
I can see that.
I kind of wanted to see, but we'll get back to the Clemson stuff and get your perspective on that as well, too, okay. Coach. What do you think, though, Seawalt, about this whole deal, or where do you think it's going to end up?
I'm kind of in agreement with pretty much everybody else. Yeah, do I think there was something there? Probably. I think Harbaugh's in a position to say, "Come get me," you know.
Yeah, what are you gonna do about it?
And what are you gonna do about it? You know, that kind of just happened not too long ago, and you know, nothing happened, right? But like I said, yeah, I think there's probably something there. You know, everybody does it to an extent, somewhere along the line. You know, something similar happened in Clemson. You know, 6-8 years ago, Dave Doran accused Clemson of stealing signs with video equipment, and none of it was true, but there was some computers there. Anyways, you know, I think we may be making something bigger than it really is, but there was probably a little something there. That's just my take.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Coach, what do you think about all that? I know you're not a huge Harbaugh fan, but what are your thoughts about this sign stealing and all this other stuff? I don't know that I care about it so much.
You know, at the end of the day, I really don't give a shit about it because I have to tell you, you guys know. Yeah, you know how I am, guys. I just tell it the way I think it is, and I'm usually wrong. And so, but here's the thing: the NCAA's got to burr up its ass about something with Harbaugh. Bottom line, because I'm going to tell you what, if you're not stealing signals, you ain't trying to win. And they can call it stealing. I don't like the word stealing being used in that verbiage. Because At the end of the day, you as a college football coach, you better know you don't think there's people that know head coaches and assistant coaches and programs that aren't sitting up there in the damn stands with their phones, video and signals, and then giving it to their buddies. If you think that's not happening, then I got some oceanfront property to sell you in Arizona because it's going on. But they got something against Harbaugh that they're probably like me. I probably should be the NCAA because I can't stand his ass. But at the end of the day, that's all that's going on here, guys. And like y'all said, he doesn't give a shit either way because he's going to be fine whether he stays or whether he goes. It doesn't matter to him. I hope he goes and they hire somebody shitty.
Fair enough.
Yeah. No, I mean, you wanted to go back to the Rich Rod days, but no, I mean, it's kind of one of those things, everybody always talks about this all 22 film and all the rest of that stuff. I mean, it's not like you have to go that far without seeing that stuff, You're sending scouts to the games anyways. They're going to see that. I mean, it's just one of those things where sometimes, hey, you don't get away with that. It's basically lining up to be another Houston Astros ploy. Just they haven't won anything. And by saying that, I want to say my uncle sent me a tweet, and basically, did you guys see what Kirby Smart said about this whole thing?
What's that?
They said Georgia head coach Kirby Smart talking about if he was aware that Michigan was stealing signals from them. And I quote, Kirby Smart said, "There's nothing I remember about that Michigan game that makes me think that." Straight sad.
You know what? I'm gonna give you a story. When my first year in coaching, I was at a little 1A school, actually 2A school, the Memphis Cyclones in Texas, and hell, I'm in the press box, and so I go up and put my headsets on, and I hear the other team coaches talking on the headset, and I'm like, oh shit. I mean, obviously I don't say anything. I mute mine and I go down and tell the head coach, hey, I can hear everything they're saying. And, you know, he said, we just don't need to use ours. And so we didn't use ours. But I guarantee you, we knew every damn play they were going to run before they ran it, and they still kicked the shit out of us. You know, and going back to what Kirby said, I mean, you know what? I couldn't tell that they had our signals because we still beat the shit out of them.
Beat the shit out of them. That's why. That's pretty. Yeah, I like it.
I love it. I love it. I love Kirby even more.
And again, it would have never made it out of the SEC. I think that there's stuff like that goes on in the SEC a lot. They keep it in house. You know, they don't want anybody else involved from the outside. You know what I mean?
You know, and I was gonna say this, guys. That kind of stuff only comes from the inside. People usually don't catch you from the outside doing that kind of stuff. That comes from your internal program. So is there somebody internally that has the red ass with Harbaugh that put that out there?
Well, yeah, and I mean, think about it. Even when the baseball deal happened, and I mean, now this isn't the same shit, I don't think, as baseball. But when the baseball thing happened, that was because coaches from the Astros ended up in Boston and doing it, and then Milwaukee or whatever. You know what I mean? So it kind of that's kind of where that happened. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Is it somebody that, I mean, he's kind of everybody. They get it's been said you get sick of him after a while because he's an asshole.
Well, it didn't take me very long.
Fair enough. They didn't like him at the Niners either. So, no. I mean, he went to the Super Bowl.
He does a good job, though, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a good football coach.
The thing is I don't really. Here's the other thing about it. It's like, you know, they're acting like that the hamburger thing was more than the hamburger thing and that they're just cheating so bad. I mean, of course you're going to hear this from Ohio State, man. You know what I mean? Or Penn State guy. You know what I mean? Look, he's kicking your ass right now. That's why. You know, he's kicking your ass.
Somebody's got a bird, though, guys. Somebody's got a bird. Hamburger and now this.
Well,
come on.
Look, I've seen him say things publicly. It's been out. He's sent statements out there that he's in it for the kids and he's against the NCAA. He thinks it's a trash, and he said it out loud and publicly. I think that we all say that, but you don't generally hear that coming from a coach that hardcore that he went in on him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, so it's that kind of deal with him that he kind of he's like, come on.
Yeah.
And the truth is what are they going to do? What are they going to do here? I don't know that you can really do anything with it. What does he care?
Well,
I mean,
I tell you what,
probably have the freaking Bears job next year if Lincoln doesn't get it.
Well, not only that. Oh, go ahead, Coach.
No, I'm just going to say, you know, if I don't know,
nobody gets along with
I'll say this. I'll say this right here. If they do something drastic, I think that kind of expedites the need or the hopefully y'all jazz with what I'm about to say, but that expedites the need for there to be a central commissioner or for the Big Ten or the SEC to have their own authority figure that's in place, obviously you have Sankey, you have all of them, but I mean, to really come out and make a statement to say, this is who will decide how these things are governed, not the NCAA. The NCAA is a secondary institution that we will, use in its proper time and place, but no, Sankey or the Big Ten commissioner or Mark or somebody like that, these are the people who actually govern and make these decisions or these rules. So I think that's kind of something that I think that this is what that would lead to. That's an avalanche that because I feel like the NCAA, I'm a guy about analogies and examples. So just bear with me. I feel like the NCAA is out there, skiing on a slope right now, and they have avalanches on 3 or 4 different sides. They're just waiting. They're just waiting to take them out. So I don't know. I mean, they're really on thin ice right now with a lot of people as it is. So, you know, they have this us against the world mentality. And I think a lot of these conferences have that as well. And I'm not necessarily sure if the Big Ten, especially if we see any more expansion than what we've already seen. I don't know if that's not going to be a thing going forward, as far as somebody being the first one to say, you don't tell us what to do anymore. We debate those decisions.
Yeah. Well, and we all know, guys, the NCAA, you know, and they may come out of this looking, you know, far worse than Harbaugh.
I think this is a good point by Jet. When was the last time they won anything? You know, they generally don't. You know, but they always do stupid. It's always a lot of dumb shit though, where they're not evenly handing out rules and you know, whatever. You know what I mean? It just seems like a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, it
just weird. But to me, you know, it's like that whole deal with the Carolina kid, that receiver. What was that about? You know what I mean? Like this is helping the sport, or helping, you know, this is about kids
helping
here, and you say you're about it. You say you're about the student athlete, and yet, you know, because of COVID and then his grandmother being sick or whatever, then he has to miss the year. Thankfully that they got that straightened out, but he missed a lot of time.
Yeah. There's so many clear examples that go off of that. I mean, look, I get what he put on writing, but we all know exactly what was up with Justin Fields. Justin Fields was trying to play so he can get to where he's at now.
Sure.
And I mean, it's just some clear examples where they've looked great with some decisions like that one. And then you have the kid, the tight end from Illinois, that transferred back into Illinois because his mom was dealing with some illness or whatever the case was. He wanted to be close to home. And NCAA wouldn't let him play. So I mean, there's countless examples of that happen, and it's just you're left there just baffled. Yeah.
You know, I think with Tez Walker in Carolina, you know, I think what really shot him in the foot initially was, you know, he said he was going home for his mother or whatever, right? That's why he wanted to transfer. But he took a trip to Rutgers. Now that kind of throws a wrench in your story. You know what I mean?
Didn't know that one.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that either.
You know what though, guys? The bottom line is the NCAA.
But we're at a time now that go ahead, Coach. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say we're at a point in time in college football that we've outgrown the NCAA. It needs to. We need to revamp, just like Coach I was talking about. We need to revamp how we're doing business.
Okay, Chris took off, man. You could have just said you were leaving. He's got to put the baby to sleep though. Got a youngin in there. So thanks for coming in, Chris. If you come back in, but we don't have a ton of time going still left. Okay. Coach, what did you obviously we were talking about talking to him a little bit about what's going on with Dabo, and you know, hey, to Seawall's credit, he's saying that he agrees that it's time that loss over the weekend was I think, to quote him, program defining, and that it's time to start making some changes. I know you've been kind of outspoken on that as well. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, I first of all, I think Dabo Swinney is a great football coach. I you know, but again, you know, times are changing, man, and Dabo's not keeping up, Saban's not keeping up, or let's say everybody's caught up to Saban, because he was doing all this stuff far before, and so I mean, people were getting paid already. But at the end of the day, you know, I hate it for Dabo, but it's you know, he doesn't believe in the portal. And guys, it's okay if you don't believe in it, but you better use it, because if you don't use it, this is the kind of stuff that's going to happen to you. The way the portal is now, you can't just take high school recruits. I don't care if they're all 4-star and 5 stars. You can't just take those kids and win with those kids. You got to pull some people out of the portal to continue the success that your program either has or needs. And he's not willing to do that. And I hate that for him. He's kind of stuck on that old offense too, that it's not working out very well. And so there's friction, obviously. You can see the friction offensively between him and the offense coordinator, that it's not clicking. I mean, one wants to run one thing, the other wants to run another, and it's just not working out smoothly for him. And I just hope they keep it up for a couple more weeks until we get through playing them, and then I hope, and after that, I hope all goes well again. But no, I think Dabo could be on the way out, man.
Wow, you think so? Well, and I think but you think it's probably on his terms, don't you?
Oh, I do. I think it's going to be on his terms. And here's the thing: are they going to give? And they are going to give him the opportunity. He's done a lot for Clemson football, and I think that as an administrator, you bring Dabo in and have the conversation. Dabo, you're going to have to use the portal. You're going to have to, what changes need to be made to get our program back on track. Because again, as an administrator, I tell you, Dabo, you're a great football coach, but we got to fix this stuff. And if we don't fix it, we're going to fall way, way behind. And so then he's got a decision to make. Is he willing to do that, or is it time for Dabo to decide, guys, I'm moving on?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I feel like you were in my brain there. Graham Neff, our AD, like you said, has got to sit Dabo down and say, look, we need you to change with the game. If you're not willing to do that, what's your next steps? Do you, is this where you want to draw the line? Do you know what I mean? If, Dabo's going to make that choice. Is he willing to change with the game or not? If he's not, he needs to leave it on the table and move on and pass the torch on to somebody else. And like
him and Nick both are in that. Yeah,
and like you said, also, I kind of hit on it earlier. After the season's over, or right now, this young, inexperienced staff that he's built full of his guys, he's got to sit down and have a heart-to-heart and use his brain and not his heart and figure out what's working and what's not, because it's proven right now that it's not working. What he's tried to build over the last 5 years with these really young guys. I kind of said the stat earlier, out of the 10 position coaches on the field, the average amount of experience, whether NFL or pro, for our staff is 6.7 years. And if you take Mike Reed away, who's got 23 years combined experience, we're at 5 years. That's not enough. There's no mixture of experience and inexperience. You can't get anywhere with that. And that's why I kind of called the Miami game a program defining game.
Yeah. Oh, and I would certainly agree with you. It was a program defining game. And I look forward to seeing what he does on, these last several games. I mean, because these last several games are going to tell you, is he willing to at all make, and honestly, guys, if I'm the athletic director at Clemson, like you said, I don't wait till the end of the season. I'm going to call him in after that Miami game. I'm calling him in. I'm saying, look, Dabo, I love you, man. You've done a great job. You've brought Clemson football back to life again, but we got to get some things rectified here. And are you willing to rectify? That conversation's got to be happening right now.
Hey, but yeah, I'm with you and stuff. And guys, look, and Hank, you know this. I'm not sitting here telling you that I don't think that BV was a very instrumental piece of that puzzle for them to win the national championship twice. In fact, I think he was probably equally as important as Dabo. He still don't have his name on it. It's Dabo's national championships. Those are, and what I was getting at is you can rest on your laurels a lot easier whenever you've got 2 natties to your name than you can with a 6-7 record in your first year as a head coach.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm trying to make. I'm not I'm not judging against Dabo. I'm not saying any of that kind of stuff. What I'm telling you is I think that they're both really good coaches. I do tend to agree with what you guys are talking about, that BV was as big a part of that as anything. Those defenses shut down Alabama twice.
He was the final piece.
Yeah. Look, I agree.
Well, but again, guys,
Dabo Swinney's national championship.
Yeah.
Thank
He's getting
you,
the credit.
Jason. That's right. He's the guy because he's the one that put the staff together. He's the guy that's in charge of the whole thing. So it's going to be credit to him. Just like right now, he's also receiving the negative side of that equation because it's his program.
There you go.
It's the head coach carries the load. Either way, now who are you as a head coach? Also, when you're getting hit with the negatives, are you saying it's my fault and it's my job to fix it? Or are you blaming others for it? Or when you're winning, are you saying it's our coaching staff, not me? That speaks a lot about a coach as well. But guys, I've always seen Dabo to be a great coach. And I just, again, you made the statement, both of you said this, but you know what? He's got those national championships, and that's why it'll be Dabo's decision on how he moves forward here.
Yeah, that's fair, Hank. He said, I'm always here to throw jabs. I'll give you that. I know you are. And I love you for it. This is why you're Hank. I'm with you.
Hey, you got to quit jabbing me all the time, though, Hank. I love you, brother.
As opposed to not using it. No, you're right, too. And you're right, too, Mike. I was just saying that I know that he wasn't near as aggressive, though, in year one. And he had a lot of different opinions about what he felt, right? I just think that he was – and I think that when you've won, it was easy for him to say, well, yeah, I'm going to adopt that. And then you go 6-7, and just like what we were talking about with NIL, it took some people at Oklahoma to say, look, you're going to have to let us get here and do this because we're going into the SEC. We got to stay up with these guys. You got Texas down there giving their linemen that kind of money. If you want to keep up, we're going to have to do it. I think it's the same thing when it came to the portal. And once, that defense was, he would have never put a defense like that out there at freaking Clemson, right? Never. Even as bad as I think they were in that first year, they struggled that first year, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. But in the end, I do feel like, yes, look, we're in a new age of this thing, man. You know what I mean? We're in a new age of this thing of college football. And at some point, you're gonna have to step up and make some changes. Or you could be Dabo Swinney and say, to hell with it, I don't want to, and I'll leave.
Exactly. And that's what's happening, guys. And
I think if he's leaving, it's gonna be because he's gonna be like, I'm just done. I'm just not gonna do it.
Right. And you know what? I was just fixing to make this statement before you said those things, but I'm an old fart. I'm an old football coach. And I got to tell you, I'm not a fan of the portal myself. But you know what? If I was coaching, I'd become a fan pretty damn quick because if you're going to survive, you got to have it. But talking about it, I don't care if you just get one or two players out of it that are going to help your team. I'm going to say Notre Dame. We wouldn't have been worth a shit at all this year if we don't get our quarterback. Hartman's made a huge difference in our program because I think we would have been a 500 football team.
Look at what happened by not investing in a freaking offensive coordinator, an extra $1 million.
Exactly. And so you still got to use the portal. That's not saying you got to live in the portal like Lincoln Riley or some of those other coaches. But at the end of the day, I know exactly how Dabo feels because I hate that shit. But it is what it is, and we got to adjust as coaches because the conferences are changing. The whole landscape of college football is becoming a whole new thing. Just like I guarantee you guys, it's not. We're talking about NCAA earlier. They're not going to be around much longer, boys. I'm just telling you.
No, I don't think so either.
The whole landscape is changing.
No, I agree with that. I think that at some point, look, I mean, you already saw it in the legislature, in a lot of legislatures around the country, that they've basically cut their legs off saying, no, you don't get to tell us anything. So like Oklahoma, and I don't know why Oklahoma State has continued to kind of get peppered by the NCAA, because basically when it came to their NIL legislation in Oklahoma, they said the NCAA has no say in what they're doing. They will not honor anything they have to say when it comes to how they do things with their NIL funds and all that. So, and then you got Missouri paying high school players at this point if they're going to go to Mizzou. You know,
sounds like a pretty damn good deal to me.
Georgia, right? I believe it's Georgia just signed the NIL for high school players, where they can start getting NIL now.
Well, listen, I mean, I guess if you are that big to where you're headed off to that next level, and you can, if you can bring value, I think that it's also going to get to a point where you're not just going to be getting, and I don't think that they are just getting money for being a player at this point. I think they're setting them up with stuff where they have to go out and do some kind of, deal on social media or whatever it is, to where you have to provide value of some kind to these companies that are giving you this money. I don't think it's just, you have a quote unquote job at the car dealership anymore. That's not what we're talking about. I think it may be like that at A&M.
Well, I tell you once again, guys, I think it's horse shit, to be honest with you, paying high school kids. I think paying the college kids, it's good to a point, but I think that's even out of hand in itself. But again, the landscape is changing.
Yeah. We got to let Seawalt, and Seawalt, man, I appreciate you coming in tonight and kind of, giving us some insight into that program and stuff. It's, obviously we cover a lot of, and we do pay attention to everybody in the country. But I mean, I like to get the inside, what's really going on in those programs, and this is one of the better programs in the country for the last 15 years. So, it's certainly kind of shocking to see them the last couple of years kind of falling apart like they have. And I think it is fixable. Whatever. I just feel like, I wanted to see what you thought about that, and I appreciate your insight, man. I really do appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, man, it's definitely fixable, and I think Dabo will decide to make some changes this year, like we kind of talked about it. Kind of what I envisioned and what I've seen come back to the program. Right. So I think it'll get better for him. But man, I appreciate you having me on, and I enjoyed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I enjoyed the little time I got to listen to you. I enjoyed that. Hopefully Jason will get you on again.
Oh, heck yeah, man. I'm sure he was on with Coach I and stuff and got to meet him the other day. So I'm sure we'll get to work with him a lot more. Tell everybody how to find you real quick there, Seawalt, and then we'll let you get out there.
Yeah, so I've got a fairly new YouTube channel. It's a 4th and Goal with Seawalt, so you can find me there. I'll be posting videos, mainly Clemson related, and kind of 365 throughout the whole year. And then on Twitter, Seawalt the Realist.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, man.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
You definitely need to bring him on in 2 weeks.
Yeah, definitely for the Notre Dame game.
Notre Dame.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
All right. Pencil it in, Seawalt. Pencil it in. Yeah. We'll do a preview on it and stuff, and you guys can kind of go toe to toe. And hey, if you need any help with any of this stuff, I mean, I'm happy to, pass on any knowledge I got to, kind of help you get going with your channel and stuff. I know Coach I will as well. And he's great with it and stuff. So, but we all kind of got different things that we're kind of good at and stuff. So anything you need, man, let me know. And we'll happy to help.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right,
see buddy.
Have a good one.
Guys, make sure that you get over there and check out Seawalt the Realist on Twitter and the 4th and Goal podcast on YouTube. help him out, get over there, subscribe to his channel since everybody was busting his chops so much about Dabo Swinney. I appreciate that, guys.
Did they bust his chops pretty good?
They did, of course. It's the mafia, man. This is what they do.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love our group, man.
I can't wait. That'll be awesome. That'll be awesome.
You know what, Jason? I love our group. They're so awesome. And they bust my chops a lot too, but I still love it.
And they've been busting mine lately.
Guys.
They've been busting mine more lately too. Shit. And I'm busting on T-bone and still catching hell. I love it, man. No, it's fun. It's good stuff, right? Is coach still anti-OU? He says, nah, he wasn't. Hey, he's never really been pro-OU, to be honest with you.
No. I've never been pro-OU. When I had Stephen Coleman.
I think he's pro coach.
I am
pro you guys.
Yeah, I am. And you hit the nail. No, I am. I'm pro all those things. I just, I obviously I see things from a different perspective as Jason and I talk about those things. But again, I'm not against.
We were good, by the way. By the time that show was over, we were fine.
Oh, yeah. And guys, I go all the way back to I was kind of chuckling the other day thinking about things, and I thought, I don't remember, or I don't know how many of you remember Mike McKinley that played running back there at OU. Hell, the first football coach he ever had in football was me, because I was a high school kid, and but again, I've always had ties to OU in some way or another, and I don't dislike them. I do try to be a realist, but I'm even a realist about my own Notre Dame crew. Right. I'll hammer their ass when it's time.
Well, and I'm real about Oklahoma too. I just said that they could win. I didn't say they were gonna win. So, and I have said that all year long. I haven't drank that Kool-Aid one time yet. I have not done it. I said
I just had the red ass after our loss.
I know that. I'm aware. I'm aware of what that shit was about. You've been red assing it for a while. Yeah. And so, look, man, but here's the thing. The cool thing about it is that we can have those fights. And look, man, tell me you weren't entertained, folks. I know you were, because I heard it all. I heard it all when I put the videos out there. I know you guys love it. So let's see. But so you remember McKinley there, Mike? Cool.
There you go, Mike.
Yeah.
He's from my hometown, Perryton, Texas.
Home of the Perryton Rangers. Do you think that Kansas is better than UCF?
I think they're different football teams. Sometimes it's hard to compare.
So gimmicky at UCF, man. I don't know.
Huh?
So gimmicky freaking with Malzahn and stuff. I mean, they have a hell of a running back. I'll give them that.
Right. But they are pretty gimmicky. But I don't know. I still, I've been disappointed in Kansas this year. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. The Street Stopper fan who probably watched the game. Hey. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Back at OU, he did. Yep. Yeah, and listen, here's the deal. I really think, talking a little bit about Oklahoma, and I do definitely want to get your feelings on what you're seeing over there with Tebow and Lincoln and USC. He has not been back to work. Apparently, Cliff is taking over the program while he's sick. That's what came out. He missed his radio show yesterday, which is very similar to how he was after the Baylor game, when we all know that he was out there, I think kind of nailing down the job. Although I think he had nailed it down a while before that. I really do, because Roy Manning was out there recruiting on OU's dime for SC for quite a while.
Yeah. And again, those things aren't right. Yeah. Nothing right about that.
No,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so apparently, listen, and usually, did you watch that? They got punched in the mouth again. And they made Utah look like they had the greatest offense in the world with a third-string quarterback. Looked like Joe Montana, And I mean, we saw this coming. Look, honestly, guys, and here's the deal. And I said this on my little show that I did last night. Theoretically, you could see him fall all the way to 6-6 because, look, Cal put up 40 points on Oregon State. They got a quarterback too. And we know that they don't stop anybody. Now, part of that has to do with the way that they're run. Look, I'm not a Grinch guy. I think he's terrible. But I tell you, you have to run the damn football to help your defense out, especially when they have the issues that they have it in depth and scheme and everything else. But it's crazy, right? Tebow blaming the LA media. He blames everybody for he's always got an excuse. That was another thing I said. Always got an excuse. And until he mans up to what he is, he can keep jumping from job to job. I don't know why you would run away from this job. It's $110 million, and they gotta pay you. $110 million, 10 years. He's in year 2. Why would you go anywhere? And I get it that Caleb Williams doesn't come along all the time. But what is it? I mean, I get it that he hasn't been able to play this freshman either. So what? I don't know. Oklahoma is absolutely better off. They're absolutely better off. Look,
Absolutely.
last year, the last 3, 4, 5 years, they lose that game with UCF last week. When it gets a little touchy, they lose it. This is where, I said before that they have taken on the personality of Coach Venables and that staff, and they have. They're no longer soft as baby shit like what you see from Lincoln Riley football teams. And they are that. They are soft. And I don't care what anybody says. It's soft. And that's just the way it is. The whole strength and conditioning thing with Wiley. I mean, look, it just is what it is. So, yeah. And look, and Caleb, man, Coach, don't you feel like he's regressing a little bit? I think he's a hell of a player. I believe that they've put him, he's now gotten into the hero thing so much, they're not even scheming in easy shit for him.
Well,
off the third drop, boom, throw it. Run the ball a little bit.
Again, I don't think Lincoln has done anything to help that kid. And let me rephrase that. I don't think they've done a good job of coaching that kid and helping him to keep things in perspective. The Superman thing, and he's the hero, and guys, the last time I checked, there's 11 SOBs out on that field playing on every snap. It's not just one guy, and there's not any football team that's going to win with just one player. But they put that in his head, and he's, God, he's a kid, guys. He's buying it. He believes it. And I think they've hurt him more than they've helped him. And so talking about regressing, yes, I think he's regressed.
So is Coach Big Lubbock.
Yes, sir.
So is Coach.
I know Hank. I know Mr. Erickson well, my friend. Hank the cow dog, Mr. Erickson.
Hank the cow dog. Yep. Yeah, listen, and look, I think that Lincoln's smart enough to where, it's clear that he knows how to run an offense, but I think that he's doubled down so much on it, and even in a different way than what you saw out of Coach Leach, right? Coach Leach was going to do things his way and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like he didn't make as many excuses for. He'd say, "Yeah, we play like shit."
Yeah, he was just honest.
He called a spade, right?
And you never saw Coach Leach take one of his quarterbacks and treat him like Caleb's been treated by Lincoln. He just, he was hard on.
Oh yeah.
I think Lincoln babies Caleb.
Oh, I know he does. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. And he was, hey man, he was babying Spencer Rattler's little bitch ass too.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying. You ruin kids that way.
Yeah. Well,
but you know, Lincoln's got to do it his way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, I think that it got to a point that it was pretty clear, right? Hey, what's up, Nate? How you doing, man? Yeah. Large chunk of money in high school would change their attitudes with parents. Yeah, I'm not huge on it. I get that you know, it's one way to go, I guess, you know, and look, if you're allowed to have a job as a high school kid, why aren't you allowed to make money as an NIL, you know, off your image and likeness? You're a gamer or however you may be doing it on social media. Social media has kind of changed things a lot. You know what I mean, Bob?
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily saying, I'm not saying that it should be like probably what we're talking about with Williams Nwaneri, where they're just, you know, cutting him a check from Mizzou. But I mean, can you blame Mizzou? I mean, they're behind the 8 ball, kind of. So I don't know. Caleb's dad, bigger problem than Tebow. I think that he's very protective of his son. I don't think he's a bigger problem than Lincoln. I don't think that. But I think he's very protective of his son. I mean, look, there was a lot of people that took some unnecessary shots at Caleb on the way out, and he didn't like it. And what he said, and I know what a lot of people got upset about what you heard from Mike Farrell, right? Mike Farrell took that out of context as to what was actually said in that newspaper article. Anyway, it wasn't even that wasn't what was said. Caleb didn't say all that. Now, do I think that Caleb's become kind of a bit of a pain in the ass and pretty Hollywood? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I think he's a spoiled brat.
But that's been created.
Mm-hmm.
It's been created. He didn't have to be treated that way.
Correct. Well, and look how he acted. I mean, when now I think part of this was all part of the Lincoln's plan or whatever, but he did hang around and win the bowl game. You know, I mean, look, I'm always going to have a special place in my heart for Caleb Williams because of what he did in that Red River game, bringing them back from the largest deficit in history.
Sure.
That matters to me. The rest of it, he's gone now. I don't have to care. But I think that he's messing up, and I do feel like he's hurting his. Right now, at this point, I think that he's probably going to be number one anyway. I think it would be a bad idea for him to not play out the rest of the season, but I don't know that he is because he's getting a lot of advice from people saying don't. He's got a lot of people saying not to. You got stupid asses like Emmanuel Acho doing it. I don't get that. You're going to quit you're telling him to quit on your team as a quarterback, and that's going to be helpful for him? I don't buy it. And at this point, I don't know that you can say that it's an injury and pawn it off on that because I don't buy it. I think it's crazy. Yeah. Oh, Scam Newton. Yeah.
Oh, amen to that.
You play to pay, you have to put your big boy pants on. Yeah. Listen, I think he does. I think he needs to show up.
Yeah.
I think he needs to show up for the rest of the way. We're talking about what, 4 more games? Suck it up, Buttercup.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing. Why would he if freaking Lincoln's not coming back? I mean, Lori just told us she doesn't think he coaches another game.
What a great example he sets, huh?
Yep.
What a great example.
No, because he wouldn't play if he had that attitude. Hell no. Hey,
absolutely not.
This is why you can look. I said this. Look, I said this when they went 6-7. I said this the week after they lost 49-0 in the Red River game, that Oklahoma's program would be better sooner than what SC would be. That they would make a run at a national title or the playoff or whatever the hell before USC did. I said it. I believed every freaking second of it. And the reason why was recruiting and the culture that they were building there. We know what the hell they're about. We know what they're about, guys.
Was that pun intended there? They'd be better sooner?
It's always intended. It's always intended, but yeah. But no, it wasn't. I mean, I was just saying before SC was going to be, and I believe that.
I'm kidding you.
Look, and that's I mean, we've talked about it a ton. We've all talked about it. We knew what was coming. How long have we been yelling 8-4? 8-4, 7-5. Long before the season started. We looked at that schedule and said, watch, they're going to fall on their face. Hank, we've talked about it. Mike, all of us, we've talked about this shit, Kim, over and over for a year, saying, look at that schedule and what they're going to have to deal with. There's no way, because they didn't have to play Washington or Oregon last year. They got away with both of them. They may have won one and lost one, or they may have lost them both, but they and they're better than they were last year, both of those teams. So I think that they're going to get the shit kicked out of them by those two. I think UCLA probably beats them, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, that puts them at 5 if you just lose those 3. But hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Cal won somehow. I mean, would you?
No.
I don't think Cal's good, but I still think that anybody can beat them. I think that they're
when you're in a free fall like they are, you can lose every one of them.
Yeah, they are in a spiral, a real spiral. If they were in the F-22, they'd be punching out right now. And I think they're about to.
No, I agree, Jason. They're in trouble. They're in deep trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, BV did. Yes, I think that that's exactly, once they didn't want to commit and they acted like he wasn't supposed to go and get. Now, that was where I think that Daddy needed to shut up, because whether or not Caleb came back, they needed to go get Dylan Gabriel. They did. Now, I don't know that Dylan was going to come, but he might have. But they needed to go get him, and they used that as their reasoning for leaving. We know that they were leaving. He was in the freaking Suburban on the way back from Bedlam, not on the bus. He was in the Suburban with Lincoln. There's no doubt about that. We know what happened. We know that was a plan. And look, I've said this a bunch of times. I do not blame Caleb for going with Lincoln. No. I don't. He recruited him there. He wanted to play for him. He won him a Heisman Trophy, and he's probably going to make him the number 1 pick in the draft. You know what?
You know what, Jason? I'm not sure.
You know how those damn scouts are, man. They freaking made that idiot from Florida last year. That dude he can't hit what did somebody said in here? Couldn't hit a bull's ass with a bass fiddle in here earlier. I love that, by the way. Who said that? Was that you, Wilkerson? I loved it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, we did. We rode that horse into the ground. We've been saying it.
I'm still not sure he's going to be the number 1 draft, though. I think maybe I think he's gotten to be exposed a little bit lately.
Well, I think he's definitely fallen into some bad habits, Coach. I do, because I think that he's been playing hero ball so much. They haven't run the fucking football enough at all.
No.
And
even have a good running back to do it with.
Look, you know that they're in the hundreds, and like I was reading, I wrote all that stuff down. They are in the freaking hundreds in time of possession. They're in the hundreds in total defense. They're in the hundreds in scoring defense. Bro, they're bad. But but you know what a lot of it is? You saw it the second it started. The second it started with the Notre Dame game, they got punched in the mouth, and it didn't stop. And it didn't stop last week either. How many 2 plays in Utah was in the damn end zone? What are we talking about here? Or after the Oregon game, Caleb's father asked BV to cough up more money and they might stay, and BV said no. Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah, I don't think that. I think it had gotten to. I think that we all wanted to see Caleb Williams stay. I think that we all wanted to see Caleb Williams. I don't know anybody in here that felt like it was going to happen. I mean, I mean, we're all wish upon a star, but I don't think anybody. Yeah, can't hit a bull in the ass with a bass fiddle. Loved it.
I love it.
Yeah. And I'm listen. I think that DG is a good fit. I know that not everybody loves him the same way, but I think that the guy has come in and been a leader in a situation that wasn't easy for anybody, and he's taken a lot of heat from a lot of people in the OU fan base too, and not rightfully, by the way. He's not perfect, but neither was Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray or Caleb. Or damn sure not Jalen or Spencer. None of them. There ain't a quarterback alive that's perfect, and so he's not as dynamic as what you've seen in the past. I think he's a hell of, and he's got a shot at the Heisman after what happened with Penix last week. He didn't play with the shit against Arizona State. I think you got to win all of them. You got to win every game. You're going to have to go 13-0 to win the Heisman. That's my belief, but we'll see. But I do not think that it was a bad decision to let him go on. And I think he was going either way. I don't think it would have mattered. I think his dad was just an ass about that shit.
Done deal.
Yeah. And look, he's gone anyway. It doesn't, and people have asked me, don't you think that he probably regrets leaving? No, I don't. I do not. He's getting it his way. He got the coach that he wanted. He won his Heisman Trophy. He's probably going to go number one. I know that not everybody agrees with that, and I get it why you don't. I think if he quits on his team, I think that could hurt him. But they put Anthony Richardson. I mean, come on, man, that guy can't hit nothing. He's got a big arm, but so does Milton. You know what I mean? Accuracy it's just weird. And I think Caleb's better than that. Yes, Caleb is about Caleb. DG is about OU. There you go. That is a freaking perfect way to put it. And this is why I'm pro Dylan Gabriel. Okay, I'm pro. And listen, and I'll tell you another thing. If they do what you guys keep on talking about, 2000 and go win the national championship, you better get ready for another year, DG. Because if they do that, that means they've went undefeated. He might have won the Heisman, and they just won the national championship. You ain't going to sit down a national championship winning quarterback. You're not going to do it. Listen, I get it, Unc. Fine. I'm not saying that he's not a better player. I'm saying that fit-wise, yes, Lori, he probably would be if they win the national championship. Yes, he would. Yes, he would. I don't think so. I think he's got. Do you think he's going to go into the first round all of a sudden if they do that? I don't. And he's got a good thing going with his NIL stuff. We would win the Natty with Caleb, possibly. I don't know that he would buy into the whole thing though. Maybe he would though. I don't think he was a bad teammate his first year here. So maybe so. But I think that he's learned some. I just think I'm not going to get into his whole attitude and what goes on out there in Hollywood. I don't care about all that stuff, to be honest with you guys. I'm going to tell you that I think that right now he's not doing the things, and I don't think that Lincoln's helping him do the things that are helping them win either. I mean, for God's sakes, get something to where when he hits that third step, the ball's coming out. Little slants, something. Bubble screen. Do something to get the pressure off of him. Run the damn ball. Shit, we got some rain coming. It just hit hard. Guys, in case we're going to go out, I'm going to go ahead and call this for now. There would be a competition. And, okay, whatever. All right. I think we could end up losing this because we've lost it before. And so before we do that, we're going to go ahead and call it. If you guys haven't already hit that like button, I don't know why. because we've had a lot of people in here. Please do that. Make sure you do. And we've got like about 30 something likes. So that's not really cool. Please do. Please do. Yeah, he's there. He's still there. They just hadn't got to play him yet, Kevin. I think it's the big deal with him. What now in hindsight? I don't know. I doubt it. I don't think that he had any ties to Jeff Lebby, and he's not the only one that was pulling those strings. I think that those strings are getting pulled either way. But anyway, you could be right. I could be wrong. Yeah, Lori, you better stop taking shots at Dylan Gabriel in this stream, Lori. Not having it. I'll make Wilkerson kick you out. I'm just kidding. All right, I love you guys. Love you guys a lot. Appreciate everybody coming in. Make sure you do hit that like button. Shout out to Buc-ee's. Make sure that you guys share that with Buc-ee's every once in a while. All right. We love you guys. We will talk to you guys soon. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Coach.
Later, guys. Have a good one.